While I'm going on a spree of Nerf and other brand foam blaster reviews, I'm kind of reviewing this. I don't know exactly if you want to count this one as a review. It's more of a PSA, really, so that's why the title is a bit different than what would traditionally be a review. Because it's kind of hard to review an ammo pack. It is a product, yes, but there's nothing fundamentally out of this thing that I can do. It's a supplement. It's meant for other things, and it's better for me to show it by using the other things. But there are plenty of videos that I will be demonstrating that, and some I've demonstrated it before between this main channel, Maniac for Bricks, as well as my other channel, Maniac for Bricks More. So you can subscribe over there or here if you want to see more of those Nerf things, or check in the comments or the playlist down below for more information, because these are the best darts you can now for your standard foam blasters. A lot of foam darts will be of what they call 50 cal, which is a very standard length. It's kind of like an actual projectile, as far as circumference and everything, but it's in foam, and they'll generally have the same diameter to load in between, usually following after the leading brand of Nerf. But there are plenty of other good brands out there. There are other ones that have come up over the years and had some really good offerings. But as far as the darts go, that's probably one of the best things you can do to improve playing with any of those kinds of blasters. Sometimes it's about the blasters themselves, where they mechanically don't function that well, or over time will start to wear and tear. There may be the case of your aim just being comfortable and practicing with the blaster. And I'm not offending anyone. I don't have great aim either. And I've practiced with lots of blasters, but I still have work to do. But one of the best things you can do out of the box to improve your game is getting these kinds of darts specifically. Adventure Force darts are thebomb.com, if I may be aging myself. These are the kinds of darts that will perform better than all the other kinds of darts available currently on the market. If you're in Target, you will also find it under the Dart Zone brand, because Primetime Toys, it's a long story, but the central part of it is Adventure Force is like a general umbrella name of toys, that other companies can, collaborate with in a way. So Zuru makes some toys for Adventure Force as well as their own. Primetime Toys makes some toys that go into Adventure Force branding. It's a Walmart kind of thing. You won't be able to find Adventure Force stuff in Target, for example. Most of it will just be under whatever brands they are. Zuru, Primetime, or in the case of Dart Blasters, you would see it as Xshot and Dart Zone, respectively. I don't know if they're exactly the same, but they are very close. They're very similar between the Dart Zone Ops darts, in these kinds of in packs like these, or these kinds of darts, and the ones at Walmart under Adventure Force. I've picked them up before, and I really can't tell the difference between them, like, fundamentally. They look pretty much the same because they're from the same company. So I would hope they perform the same. Um, but there are many different kinds of darts that are out and about, and I just wanted to do this as kind of a PSA so that you know that you can improve your game very easily and very cheaply. That's the other good thing about these, is that they're very good and they are very inexpensive compared to other brands, even the leading brands. I mean, I feel like I'm doing an infomercial right now. It's like I need to bring out the towel and show how much it soaks up, but that's not this kind of thing. But I am honest. I am genuinely honest. I've been using these darts for upwards of 3, almost 4 years by this point, and they are better. They already help a lot better than other kinds. So the ones that you might find from Busby, which also goes by Air Warriors in some stores, are these kinds, which I like to call the Crayon Darts because of how they're pointed. It reminds me of a crayon. It's not completely pointed at the top. It still has some squaring off in the head, but that's me personally. These kinds of darts, not really that good. They're not really that reliable. They won't be as accurate as they want to be. And part of it actually has to come down to the head, which a lot of these darts will have, changes to, aside from the actual volume of foam. But we'll get to that a little bit later. These are like the lowest grade available readily, um, that you could find. So you could like an Air Warriors blaster, sure, but try to substitute the darts because they probably won't work as well um, as these. These are ones that I've been able to find recently, but I know that the line has technically been discontinued a couple years ago, actually. And these are K'NEX Cave Force darts. They actually have a much softer foam to them on the ends of it than most leading brands, but they actually have better heads to them. And these are the kinds that are very similar to the ones you have down here, but in my testing procedures between the darts, these still perform way better in most blasters. So, in just the case that you do find these in like a Go calendar, like I did, um, you're probably going to pass up the darts, but I personally use them because science. They're not the kind that I would really bring to a game. It's more of just like, oh, it's there, it's a point of comparison, just as another option in case I need something. And I do have backups of them, so there's something to that. Now, the ones you'll probably be most familiar with would be from Nerf, and these are the kinds that have been existing for well over a decade, almost 2 decades by this point, the Elite Dart. And these come in a variety of colors as well as many of the other ones that we see here. They have a little bit more to them. They're not as squared off on the heads as you can see with the Buzzbee darts. They have a little dimple on one side of them, so it kind of whistles, but not too noticeably, but it provides some kind of air flow with them. That's one thing about the projectiles, and I'm not going to go into all the physics and science about it right here, but the basic things you need to know is that as these darts fly through the air, they're not going to perfectly fly straight from where you start to where they land. They're generally going to have a little bit of a dip because of gravity, and therefore land, at an angle, and probably a bit shorter than you might expect. So, it helps to also angle your blaster upward to get the parabola and all the fancy stuff. I said I was going to be physics-based, but here we are. It's also math-based, whatever. But the other thing you need to know about it is that they may not perfectly fly straight. They may actually wiggle back and forth as they're going through the air, And that's because they don't have a lot of airflow. There's not a lot for them to move around. It's a solid piece moving through the air like that, the wind is going to catch on it. Even if there's no actual breeze or anything moving past it, just that airflow is going to make them, wiggle back and forth trying to find a straight shot. A lot of other darts, like the Adventure Force ones or even the Cave Force ones I talked about, the change in the head makes them flow better in the air, and therefore, at the end of the day, makes them more accurate. So that's the kind of thing that will improve greatly in any of the games you play, or even if you're plinking at home with just some targets. So even though these have been around for a while, even though these are readily available, even though they're in tons of packs, even though they appear to be cheap, they're actually not as productive as they could be. But hey, at least they say Nerf on them. It's like who cares? Oh, I got hit with the Nerf logo in the front of the dart. At least I know what hit me, I guess. If it hits you, like I said, it's not accurate. So, Nerf also has produced other ones like the AccuStrike darts, which are actually improvement. Can you guess why? It's because they changed the style of the head, so they're a little bit more, flowing all the way around with them. Little Valentine's darts were used several years ago in the Nerf community before these hit the main scene. And again, we're a big improvement over Nerf darts. There's a couple other kinds here and there. I'm not going to go through all of them right now. Oh, but there's another leading one that you'll see a lot in stores that I do want to mention. Xshot. These have very blunt tips. Like almost nothing is there compared to some of the other darts where it's kind of like tapering a bit to get to that point. This one's like, nope, we're stopping here. I'm round. But it's kind of, again, weird how round it is. They're not as productive as as the other darts. Almost on par with the Buzzbee ones as far as, ones you skip most of the time. But they also don't have any dimples. There's no other airflow to go with this because they're made at the same style as the rest of the dart. It's not like the head is, wider or anything to give that direction or thinner, that difference in it. It's really not going to help as it's flying through the air. But I will be doing other videos in which I will be showing you these kinds of darts and how they perform and how that will easily tell what to use. I can't demonstrate all of it here because there's hundreds of blasters that I cannot show on camera in just a short time, but take my word for it and check out my other videos so you can see a lot more of what I mean. Even if you check out other people in the Nerf community, a lot of reviewers, you know, they might try the darts that come out of the box initially, but there is also a good chance that they'll also compare it to these because they're the best kind. So if you want the best performance out of the blaster and the darts, that's where you go. So these are the kinds that I would recommend. Many people have recommended, unless you're into the short darts or other types of ammo. But these are like the ones you would standardly have in a blaster, and they are available in Adventure Force blasters here and there. There are some of them that if they're made by Xshot, you'll know it because they'll actually have that kind of shape to them under the X-Force, under Adventure Force line. But again, you can easily substitute these. Just to get a better close-up of what I'm talking about. You can see right through it. That's not a bad thing. That's not going to tear them apart. I mean, yeah, I have some strays here and there that rip off the sides of them, but I think that's also about how they're loaded. Maybe I just didn't do it properly. And they're few and far between compared to the literal hundreds of these that I have, aside from the 200 pack that I have sitting right before you. The other thing I want to tell you about is the price of them. 200 darts for $20. You can also find these at Walmart, 100 darts for just under $10. Like $8, $9 for 100 darts? That's still really good. That's usually with like a cardboard backing with the darts all nicely lined up and a little more strayed, but they stay together. They're not falling apart or anything. When they've been in the package, or even if I take them out and use them for a bit, I can reuse them. A lot of times with other darts, they'll actually have quite a bit of foam, tapering, wear and tear on the sides. This is actually a pretty recent one, but it still has some, folds and bends here and there. Depending on how you pick them up or how they're fired or where they land, they might not wear out, or they might wear out faster. But these have been pretty good with me. And I've had tons of Adventure Force blasters that have used these. I've had ones that I've just inserted into Nerf blasters, and they work fine. Sometimes the motorized Nerf blasters don't receive them that well, and they will do some of that shredding, but it's usually not too bad. So at that price, it's 10 cents per dart. That's amazing. And you might not even think about that until you know about the other brands. Again, I feel like I'm an infomercial. I just need the headset and the caller hotline. but I am generally telling you this because there are people who follow me who are into dart blasters, and I want this to be more well known if it's not already well known, at least within my circles. This is great. This is the thing you want to use. At 10 cents per dart. That's really good. 200 darts can last you a while. Not a lot of blasters are going to even require a lot of darts, but even if those go missing or what have you, this is still like one pack that can replace them. You don't have to constantly buy more and more of them. A lot of times with Nerf darts, they don't last as long. They'll bend, they'll break, they'll shred. And that's in multiple systems of darts, not even just the 50 count ones. So the fact that this one can last longer than even your number one blaster brand Nerf ones says something. And usually those are more expensive. Like, really. Like, I want to say almost 2 to 3 times more expensive, depending on where you find the darts or what packs they're in. It will cost you more. Or it'll, maybe won't cost as much on the total, where it's like, oh, I got a pack of darts for $7. But they're cheaper in quality. So it may seem like, oh, you're getting a lot of darts, but you won't be able to, you run through them so quickly. It won't last that long. So I use them for testing purposes. I would like to continue with my reviews and trying to have those other darts as an option and see how they compare. I may not have it in every single review, but I will try to keep it in mind for several of them that I'm working on right now in the works. But I could always come back and test them later. I've actually been doing testing for the past couple of years on different blasters and different darts and how well they perform, if there are any, huge, velocity differences or range differences between them. So maybe sometime later I'll actually publish that and online, and you could use that as a resource based on my procedures. But the long and short of it is, this is good all the way around. Unless you're into other kinds like short darts, ultra, rival, any other kinds. But majority of your dart blasters are going to be of this style. So using these kinds of darts will give you a huge advantage over the ones you normally get in the box. Unless you buy like a Villainator or a Spectre, which is Adventure Force branded blasters, which are really good and I recommend them. I haven't reviewed them yet, but I love them. Some Adventure Force blasters will have these in the box, which is fine, and they'll give you plenty of them. So, if you do need extras, I do sometimes pick up extras just to have them more accessible. These are the ones to go for. We call them waffle head tips in the community because the design of them looks like little squares, little waffle, grid line kind of things. But that's like a general term for any kind of darts, like the little Valentines I said earlier. But yeah, Adventure Force, that's really good. It's at a good price. It's a good value. It's a good accuracy. You can't go wrong with them. If you're in a bind, this is a quick thing to pick up. Most Walmarts will keep them. You can buy them 100, 200, and they'll get the job done. Even if you're running a... I'm going to go on a whim. I don't even own this blaster, but I already know its reputation. I'm going to go on a limb and say, even if you're running a Battle Scout, this will improve things. It won't make it fantastic, because it's a Battle Scout. It's still a crummy blaster on its own merit, from what I've heard. This will improve it, though. So there's my PSA. I don't know if this really counts as a review, but check out my other videos where you can see a lot more of this in action and seeing how it makes a difference, especially in velocities. But, eventually I could also do more range day videos and we could test it out there and you can see in range how they compare. So thank you all for watching. Let me know your comments below of dart blasters, different kinds of use over the years. Even if you use old blasters, I'd love to hear about those as well. Or if you have any, questions about what to look for, aside from the darts, maybe the blasters themselves, maybe accessories. I have been in this hobby for quite some time, and even in the shadows of the hobby, even a bit longer. So I've been following this stuff for pretty well, a couple, like I said, 4 or 5 years or so, and know a lot of stuff, not just from my experience, but also from others. And much like Lego, I researched the hell out of this stuff. But unlike Lego, I know other brands in the same industry and what works well one way or the other. So, there you go. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it and have yourselves a wonderful day.